Welcome to RPG Community College. Today I thought I would go over some of the things that I wish I would have known when I first started playing Grim Dawn. The first thing I want to talk about is armor absorption. This is a stat that's unique to Grim Dawn, and for how important it is, it's pretty easy to not know that it exists, especially when you're just starting off in the game. You can see your armor absorption by hovering over your armor stat in the character screen, and how it affects you is you can kind of think of it like how effective your armor is at mitigating damage. Like, if you took a 100 damage hit and you had 50 armor, and you had 50% armor absorption, you would take 75 damage. Because you only have 50% armor absorption, your armor can only block 50% of its armor value. So that means that your 50 armor can only mitigate 25 damage, so you take 75 damage. And if you had 100% absorption, you would only take 50 damage. And since physical damage is the most common damage type in the entire game, this is a stat you're definitely going to want to pay attention to, and you're going to want to get it up to as close to 100 as you can. You probably won't notice a big difference early on. I wouldn't really worry about your armor too much until later on in the elite difficulty, like when you start hitting the DLC content. But it makes a huge difference, and if you don't pay attention to it, you're going to feel it. The most common way of getting your armor absorption up is going to be through components. Some classes have skills that also increase your armor absorption, like Soldier, and you can find some on the Devotion tree as well, but most people just use components in their armor to get the job done. Next, I want to show you a little trick for resetting vendors. There are some vendors throughout the game that sell crafting recipes, and not the faction vendors. I'm talking like actual vendors that have like a huge, massive, randomized list of recipes that they have a chance of selling. And you can reset their inventory by going and talking to 2 other different vendors, and then going back to them and they'll have a different inventory. So you can do this to quickly re-roll what they have for sale. And doing this in the beginning of the game when you don't have a lot of recipes unlocked is a very fast and easy way to get a lot of new recipes very quickly. But obviously the more recipes that you know, the less effective this is. And a lot of the best recipes to get are still can't be bought through the vendors, but a lot of them can. And a lot of relics and things and low-level relics are used in crafting recipes for crafting the higher level relics, so you always want to get these anyways. The only downside of this is that it can be kind of expensive, but getting a lot of silver is actually really easy. So anytime you got some extra silver, coming here and just resetting the vendor a bunch of times is a good way to get rid of all the extra silver. And if you'd like to see where all these vendors are located or what recipes they have a chance of selling you, a great tool to do this with is Grim Tools. This is a website that is going to be your best friend. It has a build planner, a monster database with locations and drop tables. It has an item database so you can search up every single item in the game. It also has an amazing checklist feature that will show you the locations of all the devotion shrines in every difficulty and give you a little checklist to go through and make sure that you've gotten everything. It's also useful for finding all the lore notes as well, if you want to make sure you're up to date on the story. This site is amazing, and I always have it opened up whenever I'm playing Grim Dawn. Another thing that's kind of obscure in the game and isn't really outright told to you is blacksmith bonuses. When you do craft things through blacksmiths, they have a chance of applying a bonus to the item depending on what blacksmith you use. If you want to know what these bonuses are, you can go to the Grim Dawn wiki. I don't think everything on the wiki is accurate or up to date, but the blacksmith bonuses seem to be. Another useful trick for those of you out there that are starting new characters is going straight into Crucible at level 1 or 2. You'll be able to farm the first 10 waves repeatedly until you get 15 Crucible points, and then you'll get a lot of experience, and you'll be able to purchase 5 devotion points from one of the NPCs to get a little head start and help you progress through the campaign much faster. There's even some people who farm 10 devotion points in the Crucible. I personally don't do this because I think it takes too much time, but getting all that early experience and the 5 devotion points is a pretty huge power spike, and it'll boost just straight through the early game, even on veteran difficulty. There are also some quests in the game that are pretty easy to miss, and they award you with attribute and skill points. There's a quest called the Path of the Three. I mean, it's technically a hidden quest, but I think everybody should know about it because you get a attribute point and a skill point from completing it. So if you just do a quick Google search for it, it should pop up and show you where to start it, and how to complete it and all that. And it can be repeated on every difficulty. So you end up getting 3 attribute points and 3 skill points out of it. So it's a pretty big deal. And there's actually another quest too that's going to award you a skill point that I actually didn't even know existed for a long time, and some other people might still be in this boat. It only appears on ultimate difficulty in Coven's Refuge. You'll have a quest to go and kill the ethereal spirit that possessed you in the beginning of the game. It's a very easy quest. I think the hardest part about the quest is finding it. Because it's in the Coven's Refuge, and a lot of people just kind of never end up seeing it because it's only something that you can get in the ultimate difficulty. So no one's really looking for it. And a useful bit of information for people struggling to really just do a lot of damage is resistance reduction is probably by far the best way to increase your damage. Getting like 100 plus resistance reduction is going to be ideal for the late game. And the more you can get early on, just the faster you're going to kill everything and the faster you're going to progress. So working in like a lot of resistance reduction into your leveling build is going to make things very, very easy. And when you are leveling, I highly recommend playing on veteran difficulty, even if you're not a veteran of the game. In veteran difficulty, you're going to get increased pack sizes, which equals more loot, which equals more fun, and you're going to be getting 10% increased experience, on top of having more monsters. So you're just going to progress through the game a lot faster. Even though everything has more health and does more damage, it's worth it. And if you don't play on veteran, you're still going to experience a huge jump in difficulty when you do go into elite, because elite is still tougher than veteran. So you're going to have to deal with the increased difficulty eventually anyways, so you might as well just get it out of the way in the beginning. You're going to have a much smoother transition into elite, and it's going to feel a lot better. You very well could just hit a giant wall when you get into elite. A lot of new players can. Playing on veteran will just work out those kinks nice and early. And if you've ever been exploring the map and you see a room that has no entrance to it, that means that there is more than likely going to be an unlit torch nearby. You're just going to have to look around for one of these unlit torches, and they're pretty easy to see because you can highlight them. You can just run up and click on it, and usually like a wall will open up. And these can lead to just simple things like treasure chests and things like that, or they can open up completely new areas. Like in the Tomb of Korvac, there's one at the end of it that you need to activate in order to progress a quest for the Kaiman's Chosen faction. And there's just various ones hidden throughout the game. So just be sure to keep your eyes out for things like this, especially when you're in indoor areas. But that's going to be all for this video. If you feel like I missed anything, or you just want to leave your own tips or suggestions for things you wish you would have known when you were first starting the game, feel free to leave them down there in the comment section. With a game as complex as Grim Dawn, there's no way that I could cover everything in like a 10-minute video, so anything you'd like to add would be much appreciated. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you'd like to continue your education, enrollment is free. All you have to do is like and subscribe. I wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors, and I hope to see you again soon.